On a small isolated island on Universe 7's planet Earth. It's been a week since the invasion took place and Vegeta went to Beerus' planet. In this isolated place, Piccolo and Gohan were training intensely, each of them using many attacks, and they fought both in the sky and on Earth, moving swiftly through the place. The rule of that training says they were forbidden to perform energy attacks, to use transformations, and to destroy anything on the island. Even a small tree was forbidden to be destroyed. According to Piccolo, who came up with this idea, the intention of that training was to control their strength. At one point in the fight, Gohan says, "With my current strength, I'm not able to protect the universe like my father did." But Piccolo scolds him. "This is a fight, pay attention." Piccolo lands a strong kick on Gohan. Even though the Saiyan blocked the attack, he was launched into the sea. Gohan comes out of the water quickly and at great speed. He goes all over Piccolo, and so they return to exchange intense blows. Gohan comments, surprised, "You've greatly increased your skills, Mr. Piccolo." The Namekian warrior explains, "After I participated in the Tournament of Power, I saw the power of the warriors from the other universes. I don't want to be left behind." Suddenly, in a rush of speed, Gohan disappears in front of Piccolo and appears on top of him, applying a strong kick. Piccolo blocked it with his arms, but Gohan's strength caused him to fall to the island, and in order to not crash to the ground, the Namekian made several acrobatic movements to break the fall. Without giving his master time to breathe, Gohan reaches him again, and the two continue to exchange blows. The Saiyan, very determined, says, "Don't think I'm not determined to improve either." Gohan lands a kick in Piccolo's abdomen, who is launched into the trees and disappears from the Saiyan's vision. Gohan closes his eyes and is silent. Your intention is to feel the presence of your opponent. Gohan feels something and quickly jumps to escape from Piccolo's hand, which reaches out from under the ground to grab his ankle. Piccolo retracts his arm and also flies out of the trees. With a satisfied smile, the Namekian says, "You are really progressing very well, as well as improving your physical attributes a lot. You are much more concentrated." Suddenly, they both heard Dende's voice in their minds, saying that he needed them immediately on the celestial platform. When Piccolo and Gohan arrived at the sky platform, Shin and Kibito were also there, but soon after, Tien, Chatsu, and Krillin arrived. Shin, a little disheartened to see only those present there, asks where the other warriors are. Gohan replies that Goten and Trunks must be on Android 17's island by now, and Krillin says Android 18 didn't come because she's taking care of their daughter, and 17 is definitely working. Dende says he's tried to contact Majin Buu, but his mind is empty. He's definitely sleeping again. But Shin says that Majin Buu had better stay out of it. The enemy needs him to complete their plan. Gohan asks Shin when the enemies will arrive and says he doesn't feel any energy approaching. Shin explains, "While I was in the Supreme Planet searching for the Celestial Mage, I ended up feeling 16 energies that didn't belong to this world." Piccolo asks Shin about the power level of those 16 invaders, but Shin says he's not sure. That's because their energy is quite different from the energy of the inhabitants of Universe 7 and the rest of Xeno's realm, but he ventures to say that these enemies are certainly much more stronger than the ones that attacked Earth when Goku was on the planet. After the Supreme Kai says this, a voice agrees with him. "You're right, we are different from those pawns that invaded this planet before." Everyone who is in the temple is scared and looks up, and then realizes that the 16 warriors were already there. Piccolo confronts the enemies by asking, "What do you want with this planet? Answer at once." A woman in the group replies that they are soldiers of the 5 great celestial mages, and they are there to bring the complete destruction of that planet. The Earth's warriors, together, step forward and prepare to fight. But to their surprise, one of the invaders shouts to the others, "Guys, it's party time, disperse!" And then all 16 invaders quickly split up and left the temple in various groups. The Z warriors were quite surprised. They didn't expect this to happen. Krillin, not knowing what to do, asks how they should handle it. There weren't enough of them to follow the enemies, but Piccolo, not sharing Earthling's doubt, shouts, "Go after whoever you can. Don't let them attack the planet." Piccolo flies off. Gohan does the same soon after. Chatsu calls Tien, who goes too. Krillin, muttering, leaves last. "They're completely crazy leaving the temple with no plans," says Krillin. Kibito, still on the platform, says, "It's a shame we gods have to depend on mortals for everything." Shin says, "Now it's all in their hands. If only Goku and Vegeta were here." But Dende answers the Supreme Kai in defense of the planet's inhabitants. "All Earth warriors will do everything possible to defend the planet. They might not be as strong as Goku and Vegeta, but their determination is the same." While all this was happening, Master Roshi was watching a program of beautiful women dancing on television. Beside him was the turtle, which questions how the old man manages to spend an entire day watching this. Annoyed, Roshi replies, "Shut up and let me watch. It's almost the best part." But suddenly, Roshi feels something and turns off the television. The turtle asks what happened, and he explains that someone is watching the house. When Roshi and the turtle leave the house, they see two of the disciples of the great celestial mages. Both were young, and the two were apparently not followed by anyone after splitting up from the rest of the group on the sky platform. As soon as he sets eyes on the two, Roshi assumes they are not from Earth. The turtle, anticipating the confusion that was about to start, headed for the sea and quickly left. The two invaders descend from the sky and land on the island. They face Master Roshi, ready to attack. Master Roshi faces the two mage soldiers. They are two young ones, a man and a woman. Seeing Roshi, the two enemies are confused. The woman says that they felt an energy superior to the other inhabitants in that place, but it was just an old man. She was underestimating Roshi because of his old age and thought that their senses had tricked them. Master Roshi asks who they are. The woman says that she is Kifara, the disciple of the great warrior mage, and the man introduces himself as Hakai, the disciple of the great mage of the seals. After hearing the visitors' names, Roshi introduces himself. "I am Roshi Master. Could you say what you want by coming to my house?" Kifara replies that they are disciples of the 5 great celestial mages, and that they came to the planet to collect the energy of the strongest warriors and destroy the planet. Hakai says that since they're there, they're going to wipe out that place. Surprised by their revelations, Master Roshi says, "You're amazingly sincere, but if you think you're going to get something here, you're in the wrong place." Kifara, annoyed, says that Roshi is too confident for an old man. After that, she raises one of her hands and forms a key sword. Roshi, not liking that attitude, says, "What a rude young ones, breaking into an old man's house to do bad things. I'll have to teach you manners." Roshi raises his staff and takes his fighting stance, but at that moment, they start laughing at Roshi, and Kifara says that he must be an old crazy. Kifara leaps towards Master Roshi to pierce him with the key sword, but Roshi skillfully deflects her hand with the staff and hits it with a blow in the middle of the face that sends Kifara off the island into the sea. Hakai is very surprised by this. "What's going on? How did you do that, old man?" Kifara quickly emerged from the water and returned to the island. Very angry, she calls Roshi a decrepit old man and says that it was luck. The mage warrior attacks Master Roshi again, trying several other attacks, but the old master dodges them all, and when he sees the opportunity, counterattacks with his staff, blows to the legs, abdomen, and chin. In the last attack of the Earthling sequence, the mage is thrown back into the sea. Hakai, shocked, asks, "Hey Kifara, what's going on with you?" Kifara comes out of the sea again, even more irritated. She tells him to shut up and asks why he wasn't doing something. It's her way of asking for help. Understanding her signal, Hakai runs across the island, surrounding it. Kifara attacks Roshi again, this time in one of her slashes with her blade. She cuts Roshi's staff in two, but now she's attacked by both parts of the staff, and again, thrown into the sea. Kifara comes out even angrier, asking how he was doing this, but Roshi explains, "You may be physically better than I am, but you're still very young and lack the experience to fight." Roshi decided to throw his broken staff on the ground, showing that from that moment on, he will use his own fists against those young people. Very angry, Kifara makes a slashing motion in the air, and then the keyblade leaves her hand and goes quickly towards Master Roshi. The elder dodges, but the blade hits his house and completely destroys it. Kifara teases Roshi, asking if he still thinks experience will save him. Hakai flies off the island and warns Kifara that everything is ready. Hearing her comrade's signal, Kifara starts firing several keyblades at Roshi, who starts to dodge in every possible way. In a moment, he ends up stepping on a glowing circle that has appeared under his foot. He tries to get out of that circle, but the circle explodes and the Earth Warrior is launched into the air and then to the ground. As he gets up, injured by the last attack, Roshi asks, "What was that?" Hakai, very proudly, explains, "I scattered several magic runes on the floor. These are seals that work like magic traps that explode when touched." Kifara, laughing, asks how Roshi is going to be able to dodge her blades if he doesn't know where to step. Roshi thinks to himself, "I need to find a way to counterattack them, but I'll only be able to get close if I trick them in some way." Kifara, as she prepares to attack the island, says that she is now going to finish him off. Master Roshi began an intense movement that resulted in his multiplication, but Kifara says he won't get away with such a simple trick. She started to launch several Keyblades at the island, opening several fissures in the ground and also undoing the mirages as she hits them. In a few seconds, there was only one Roshi left. Kifara flies with all her speed towards him and hits him with a deadly cut, but Roshi simply disappears. It was a mirage too. Suddenly, the cunning old man emerges from one of the fissures in the floor with a key sphere in his hand. Archery, from a distance, sees the Earthling approaching the mage warrior and yells for her to be careful. However, it's too late. Roshi hits her in the back, throwing her again into the sea, this time really hurt. Archery, flying at full speed against Roshi, says, "Damn old man, now I've got you." Archery casts from his hand a magic rune that hits the ground below Roshi, thus forming a magic circle that pinned the old master's feet to the ground. "What is this?" says Master Roshi. The mage replies, "Stepping on this magic trap, you won't move. Now, I'm gonna teach you a lesson for what you did to Kifara." Archery steps forward to attack Master Roshi, but suddenly, he starts doing a lot of weird movements with his hands. In addition to the hand movements, the old master starts humming a very slow song. It was a bedtime song. Archery asks, "What are you doing? Did it go crazy?" But then he suddenly starts to feel dizzy and becomes more and more sleepy. "What is happening to me?" Archery falls to the ground in a deep sleep, and his magic wears off. Relieved, Master Roshi thinks that was close. But then Kifara comes out of the sea extremely furious, cursing Roshi in every possible way. And then she flies at full speed to hit him with a deadly attack. Doing another one of his special techniques, the old master quickly puts his two hands together as if in a prayer, forms a yellow electric aura, and launches it at Kifara, paralyzing, electrocuting her. After a few seconds, Roshi stops the technique and she falls to the ground, stunned by the attack. Roshi says, "You're tougher than I thought. I can't save energy to get this over with." Roshi concentrates his energy, drastically increasing his musculature, which startled Kifara. "Now I'm gonna teach you not to mess with the elders." While concentrating his energy on his hands, Roshi yells, "Kamehameha!" Kifara tries to resist the technique, but fails. The energy wave takes her far and far away, surely defeating her. Roshi returns to his normal form. Seeing the destruction of his house, he thinks dejectedly, "I have to clean up this mess." Roshi receives a call from Dende, who says that someone will pick him up and take him to the celestial platform to explain what was happening.
But in another part of the world, something is happening. Tien and Chatsu chase a pair of enemies flying over the sea in a region of mountainous islands. At a certain point, the enemies stop fleeing and start facing their pursuers. Tien asks, "So, you guys finally decided to face us?" One of the enemies, who has green skin, says, named Kaikeru, "You idiots! We were just separating you." The other, which has blue skin, says, his name is Gura, "You guys are so stupid. You acted exactly as we wanted." But Tien replies, "We already knew exactly what you wanted to do, but we just can't leave you guys alone doing whatever you want, destroying our planet or causing harm to its inhabitants. That's why we're here." The green man says, "I see. It seems that you are warriors concerned about this planet and its people, but don't think we will be merciful to you for that." But Tien argues. Tien says, "We don't need your mercy. We will fight with all our strength and we will surely win." Somewhat in awe, the green man respectfully says, "You have a lot of determination," said Kaikeru. "Before we start, tell me your names." Tien introduces them. "My name is Tien and this is Chatsu." After hearing the names of the Earthling warriors, the green man also introduces himself. "My name is Kaikeru. I am a disciple of the great warrior mage. This is Gura, disciple of the great mage of seals." But Gura complains, "Hey, don't introduce us to others, you idiot." Kaikeru angrily responds, "Don't boss me around." As the enemies argue, Tien tells Chatsu, "Listen, Chatsu, I feel this green-skinned guy is the strongest among them. Let's focus on him first." Chatsu agrees. Kaikeru and Gura's argument ends when Tien quickly charges forward with a kick at Gura and launches him away. Surprised, Kaikeru complains, "You cheater!" Kaikeru attacks Tien and then begins an exchange of blows. Chatsu concentrates his ki at his fingertips, creating a small ball of yellow energy, and then yells, "Get down, Tien!" Chatsu launches a Dodonpa towards Tien, but when he gets down, the attack goes towards Kaikeru. But before being hit, Kaikeru quickly forms a small shield of energy into his left arm and thus blocks the attack. Tien goes to Kaikeru's back to attack him while blocking Chatsu's attack. But Kaikeru quickly turns around and hits him hard with a strong punch in the abdomen that set the monk thrown a few meters and agonizing with pain and shortness of breath. Finishing defending himself from Chatsu's attack, Kaikeru advances towards him to attack him. Tien, to protect his friend, ignores his pain and goes in front of Chatsu, trying an attack that makes Kaikeru dodge. After that, Tien says to Chatsu, Tien. That's weird. The first time I exchanged blows with him, his strength wasn't great. But when I tried to hit him from behind, he landed a punch that seemed to have more than triple the power of his regular punches. Chatsu suggested then analyzing the enemy to find out what happened. Gura returned stopping behind Kaikeru. He looked quite annoyed. Gura says, "You bastard, that kick of yours hurt a lot." Tien smiles and says to provoke the opponent, "The next attacks will hurt more." Kaikeru impatiently says, "Let's stop this talk." Kaikeru flies towards Tien. Chatsu entered the front and prepared another Dondonpa, but Gura came and said to him, "Quit getting in the way," softly. Chatsu turns to Gura and stretched out his arms to launch the Dondonpa, but Gura grabbed his arms and suddenly Chatsu's energy disappeared, and the little warrior didn't understand anything. Gura lands a blow on Chatsu and launches him towards the sea, but Tien moves fast and catches his friend before the little one falls into the water. He asks, "Chatsu, what happened?" Chatsu explains that when Gura touched his arm, his ki simply disappeared. Looking at Chatsu's arm that was grabbed, Tien noticed that there was a rune that appeared to be some sort of sealing. He remembered that Kaikeru introduced Gura as the disciple of the great mage of seals. Then he says to Chatsu, Tien says, "I see, he sealed your ki. Can you still fly?" Chatsu says a little badly, but yes, he does. Tien says, "Then go to one of those islands around us and wait for me there. You're no longer able to fight." Chatsu apologizes, but Tien says that he helped him a lot, especially discovering this Gura's technique. Tien lets Chatsu go and he flies with some difficulty to one of the islands nearby. Gura, laughing, asked, "Will you face us alone?" The three-eyed warrior replies, "Yes. Now I understand your trick a little better. I'll be fine." Kaikeru, annoyed, asked, "What are you talking about? Are you telling me that you understand my fighting style?" Tien replies, "I have a good theory." But the green warrior argues, "Don't talk nonsense, you're just bluffing." Kaikeru steps forward to attack Tien with a punch. Tien does the same thing, going toward the enemy preparing a punch. Kaikeru smiles and puts his shield in front of Tien's punch, but at the same time, Tien also smiles, and instead of hitting the shield, he grabs the shield with one of his hands, takes the shield out of the way, and lands a punch in Kaikeru's face with his other hand, throwing the mage warrior and almost causing him to collide with Gura, who had to dodge his companion. Kaikeru says, "You bastard, that hurt." Tien says, "It's just like I imagined. The key to your ability is your shield. Your ability depends on your shield because it is based on defense and counterattack. When you receive a hit on the shield, you transfer the force of that hit to your right hand, using the opponent's own strength in the counterattack. That's why the punch you hit me while blocking Chatsu's attack was way stronger than normal punches. The same thing happened after you blocked one of my punches and hit me." As Tien said all this, Kaikeru became more and more nervous. Gura taunts his companion. "Looks like he really figured it out. You're having a bad time." Kaikeru replies, "Shut up, you idiot. This is bad for you too." Tien, not wanting to waste time, flies towards them while saying, "All I need to do is avoid his counterattack and avoid his touch. That can seal my ki. If I do this, I'll be fine." Kaikeru flies towards Tien and the two begin an exchange of blows, both attacking, defending, dodging, and countering each other's attacks. At one point, Kaikeru tries to land a punch on Tien, but the martial arts master dodges the blows and counterattacks with a punch to the mage warrior's chin, launching him high into the air with his strength. Gura comes to him trying several attacks. The mage's intention was to touch Tien to seal his keys, but Tien, like the great master of martial arts that he is, dodges all the attacks and holding Gura's arms, hit him with a strong attack, saying that the attack was for Chatsu. After that, seeing Kaikeru return to attack him, he throws Gura at the green warrior, who had to stop his fight to hold his companion. Taking advantage of this, the Earthling launched a ki blast at them. Kaikeru threw Gura to the side and blocked the attack with his shield, but before he could think of a counterattack, Tien reached him and kicked him in the face. Gura tried to grab Tien, but the three-eyed warrior used a blow whose pressure in the air created an impact wave that hit Gura even from a distance, stopping the mage. Kaikeru advanced again. Tien retreated, flying while firing several ki blasts at the mage, who blocked them all with his shield. As he advanced, preparing a strong counterattack with all that energy, Tien retreats while he touches the wall of a mountain on one of the islands that surrounded them. There's nothing else for him to retreat. Kaikeru came at him, delivering a powerful blow, but Tien got out of the way, doing a skillful somersault in the air and going over him. The mage only hit the rocks, opening a larger crater in the mountain. Finishing his acrobatics by going behind the opponent, Tien hit him with a Dodonpa in the back. Upon being hit, Kaikeru was trapped in the rocks. Gura tries to hit Tien in the back, but he quickly confused Gura by making after images of himself. Gura, not knowing who to attack, ended up attacking a mirage, and then Tien appeared behind him and hit him with a kick that threw him against Kaikeru, thus burying them in the rocks. After that, Tien launched his third eye beam at them, and they were both electrocuted and fell from the rocks into the sea. A few seconds later, they came out of the sea reasonably injured and very angry. Kaikeru curses, "That damn, how dare he?" And Gura suggests, "Let's finish him off." Tien thinks, "They're stronger than they look. I have to find a way to hit them with a definitive attack." Tien lunges at them and shouts, "Taioken!" Tien's body reflects a great light that temporarily blinds Kaikeru and Gura. Taking advantage of the temporary blindness of his opponents, Tien flies towards Gura and lands a strong kick that knocks him away. After that, looking at Kaikeru, he says, "I'll finish you off first." Kamehameha! But at the same moment the attack was going to hit him, Kaikeru sees again and blocks it with his shield. And then he says, "Now you're mine." Kaikeru flies until Tien lands a powerful counterattack on him. The warrior dodged, and the only pressure of the blow in the air, that was enough to blow away all the clouds in the sky and cause great waves in the sea. But even not hitting the blow, Kaikeru takes advantage of the approach and grabs Tien, who is surprised by that. Tien says, "What are you doing? Let me go!" Kaikeru yells, "Now Gura!" Gura goes at high speed towards Tien to seal his energy. But at that moment, Tien smiles. Seeing this, Kaikeru, who's holding him, asks, "Why are you laughing?" The Earth Warrior replies, "Now I'll get you." As Gura approaches, two arms emerge from Tien's back, ripping his clothes and grabbing both of the seal's arms. At the same time, with his common arms, he grabs Kaikeru. So he had the two enemies attached to him. Gura asks what the technique was and says that Tien is an abomination. Kaikeru orders him to release them, and grabbing them won't help. But Tien, with a smile on his face, asks if it really won't do. Suddenly, three Tiens come out of the sea and surround them from the front, behind, and above. Kaikeru asked what was happening and if there were more mirages, but Tien explains no, those are real clones. I made 3 copies of myself and dove into the sea along with 2 of them while you were blinded by the Taioken. When I sent one of my clones at you, the same one in front of you now. Gura, surprised and scared, says, "What? That's not possible." Kaikeru, equally surprised and scared, says, "So what's holding us back is a copy? It cannot be." Then try to break free of Tien's copy, but fail. Tien says, "Now that I've managed to bring you all together in one place, I'll soon end this fight with a definitive blow." Tien and his clones, who surround the enemies, begin to concentrate ki, exhaling a white aura around them all at the same time, making the hand position forming a triangle. Kaikeru and Gura, scared, try to claim for their lives. However, it is useless. Tien, after concentrating all his energy, shouts, "Kiko-ho!" The 3 Kiko-ho coming from different directions hit Gura and Kaikeru, destroying them. After the victory, Tien undoes his copies. He's a little tired. Finishing the fight, he goes to the island where Chatsu is. Arriving at his friend, he comments, "They weren't the powerful enemies in the sense of raw power, but they had very peculiar tricks, which made them quite dangerous. We have to go back to the temple and see what else we can do." At that moment, Krillin chases a trio of enemies. He followed them from the celestial platform where the group of enemies dispersed. After a long chase, the group stopped when they arrived in the western city. The group consisted of a beautiful woman, a bearded dwarf, and a guy who was extremely weird. Krillin tells them to fight somewhere else. The woman asks why they would do that. The Earthling replies that if they fight there, they will destroy the city and put people at risk. The ugly creature, laughing, asks why they would care about it, and Krillin, disappointed, says he thought that they had at least a little honor. But to his surprise, the dwarf says, "Those two may not have honor, but I do. As far as I'm concerned, your city won't be affected by the fight." Krillin thanks him. The ugly creature says that Krillin shouldn't have gone after them alone, and he concludes his sentence by saying that he's just a bald dwarf. And that last phrase makes the dwarf of the group angry. "What's wrong with him being a dwarf?" Gilmer says. But the ugly soldier says that he wouldn't be discussing nonsense. He says he thinks the other two are enough to finish Krillin, and that he's going to destroy the city for some fun. Krillin yells no, and watches the ugliest disciple walk away. He tries to chase after him, but the dwarf gets in his way. Krillin, without thinking twice, attacks the dwarf to try to get him out of the way, but he defends himself and retaliates with a kick that Krillin parried. But the blow was so powerful that he was thrown back a few meters. The dwarf disciple says, "Your opponent will be me." The woman asks about her. The man replies, 2 against 1 is not a fair fight." She says, "Whatever," and then flies to the top of the building and sits down to watch the dwarves fight. Krillin praises his opponent. He says, "You seem to have a much greater sense of honor than your friends. Why are you doing this?" To which the dwarf replies, "The law that rules the world is that of the strongest. That's what I believe. So if we have a power greater than you, we have the right to take over your planet." Krillin sighs, disappointed. "What a disappointing thought. I'll finish you off soon to go after the other one." The enemy doing his fighting stance says, "Do you think it's going to be that easy? You're very wrong. Listen well. I am Gilmer, disciple of the great warrior mage. It will be me who will defeat you. Krillin also introduces himself. I am Krillin, an earth warrior. Krillin flies towards Gilmer to attack him with all his might. However, he ends up backing off when Gilmer forms two key weapons in his hands. According to Gilmer, these weapons are called chakrans, and they're basically discs that in theory can cut anything they touch. Krillin observes, "It looks like a smaller version of my Kienzan." Gilmer charges at Krillin with a series of attacks, trying to cut him with his weapons. The Earthman dodges all the attacks, retreats to gain distance, and prepares a Kamehameha to launch at Gilmer. But the invader quickly launches a chakram at Krillin. When the Earthling launches the Kamehameha, the disc advances through the energy wave, cutting it in half, and almost cuts Krillin, who needs to dodge to avoid dying. He says scared, "That was dangerous." Gilmer quickly rushes towards the bald Earthling and tries to cut him in every possible way with the chakram that remains. Krillin manages to dodge and prepare a counterattack, but at the last second, he cancels his counterattack, as he has to dodge the other chakram that has been launched before, which was almost hitting him from behind. After Krillin dodges the chakram coming from behind, Gilmer takes the weapon in the air and starts another slashing sequence again with the two discs in his hands. After dodging more attacks, Krillin manages to retreat again and fires two key blasts at his opponent. Gilmer launches his weapons in one fell swoop, and the discs slash in half Krillin's attacks and goes toward the bald man. Krillin makes an acrobatic movement in the air, managing to pass between the two discs, narrowly missing some part of his body. But that wasn't enough to get rid of the energy discs. Gilmer, even from a distance, manipulates his chakrams to hit Krillin, who dodged with difficulty. Krillin starts to fly away from the discs. Gilmer says, "Sooner or later you're going to get hit. Give up at once." Krillin headed towards Gilmer as the discs chased him, but when he got close to the invader dwarf, the Earthling dwarf maneuvered through the air, moving away from the invader and letting the chakrams head towards him. But unlike what Krillin imagined, Gilmer took the chakrams quite easily. He laughs. "Haha, did you think you'd get to me with a trick like that?" Krillin, a little embarrassed, replies, "Actually, I thought." The two realized that in a place far away, a city was being destroyed. Gilmer comments, "Looks like my companion started the attack." Krillin hurriedly says, "I can't waste any more time here. Sorry, but I have to defeat you as soon as possible." But Gilmer argues, "If that's all you've got, give it up." But the Earth Warrior explains, "Actually, I was trying to save energy when dealing with you, so I wouldn't get worn out when I face the other two later. But if I don't fight with my best friend, it's going to take too long, and a lot of people could end up getting killed." Those affirmations make Gilmer angry. "Are you telling me you're hiding your power? What a joke." Krillin points both of his hands towards the sky and forms a disc of energy in each one of them. This makes Gilmer curious. "What is it?" Gilmer says. Krillin explains, "That's my special technique, the Kienzan. It's a technique I created myself, and it's my most powerful skill." Gilmer, observing the Kienzan, says, "I see. It's like a chakram, like mine, only bigger." Krillin tries to make a deal with his opponent. "You said you believe in the law of the strongest, right? Well, if my technique beats yours, we can say that I'm stronger than you. Then you will give up this fight." Hearing that proposal, Gilmer laughs and then gives his answer. "You're a funny guy. All right, we'll do as you say. But if I win this technique of yours called Kienzan, you will become my servant and follow me in all my battles." Krillin agrees to Gilmer's terms. After that, they prepare and stare at each other for moments, and then they launch their attacks at the same time. Krillin's two Kienzans clash with Gilmer's two chakrams. The discs spin rapidly as they try to cut each other, creating powerful sparks of energy all around. But within seconds, the answer comes, and Gilmer's chakrams are split in half. Disappointed, Gilmer laments, It can't be. I lost." Krillin celebrates. "I won. Now you have to get out of here." But the woman who was watching everything gets up from where she was and slowly floats to Krillin. She says she didn't need to do anything. It was that idiot who made a promise, not her. She even turns to Gilmer and tells him to stop this nonsense. His master would be very angry if she knew what he was doing. He must keep fighting. But Gilmer replies, "I can't do this, Letitia. I made a deal and I must honor it." And with that last phrase from Gilmer, we discover that this woman is called Letitia. Letitia says that Gilmer is an idiot, and she will defeat Krillin, who says that she has a very strong personality and admires people like that. Hearing that compliment, Letitia smiles and she says that Krillin is an admirable man too, beating Gilmer that way. Krillin is flattered, and she goes on to say that it's hard to find a man like that. She also says it's a little lonely being a strong woman. It's hard to find a man who understands her, but he was different. Letitia, after saying these things, approaches Krillin and pats him on the head. This leaves him surprised and embarrassed. "Hey, what are you doing?" said Krillin. She continues her seduction by saying that they give up the fight and get out of there. She invites Krillin to leave the planet with her. The only thing that went through Krillin's mind was to accept the proposal. Letitia kisses Krillin's forehead, which embarrasses him even more, but he feels strangely calm. Letitia asks if he wants to be with her, and he, confused, says he does. Letitia hugs Krillin, who is so reassured that he starts to feel very sleepy. She asks if he still cares so much about this town and these people. He says not so much. She asks if he is going to let it all go. He says yes. He will leave the city, his house, and his wife. But when he says the word wife, he gets a big shock of reality. Krillin says, "My wife, my daughter. I'm sorry, but I can't go with you. If this city is destroyed, my family is in danger." Letitia is very surprised. What happened? He was giving up the fight. Krillin then gives his final answer. "I'm sorry, lady, but I can't give up the fight. I have to defeat anyone who poses danger to the city and this planet. That includes you." After Krillin says these words, Gilmer approaches and says to Letitia, "Looks like your spells didn't work." Krillin didn't understand what did he mean by spell. Gilmer explains, Letitia is a disciple of the Grand Mage of Illusions. Her ability to manipulate people's mind through love. She makes people create strong feelings for her very quickly. Krillin was shocked by that information. "So you're bewitching me?" he says. Letitia says yes, she was. But apparently it didn't work out. He must love his family so much, since he can resist her spells. Krillin smiles, a little embarrassed. Letitia says there's probably no chance of her beating him now. She gives up. Krillin asks what happened now. Gilmer says, "I don't know if we could go back to our masters now. We would probably be killed or severely punished. We go somewhere else and wait for the situation to end." Krillin says, "I understand. When all this is over, you can come to Earth and live together with us." Gilmer laughs and says, "You really are a funny guy, warrior, Krillin. We will always remember your honor and loyalty to your family and planet." Letitia completes the eulogy by saying that Krillin's wife was lucky to have him. Krillin says, "Well, any day you come by and tell her that." Gilmer says, "Before we go, it's important that you know a few things. As you may already be aware, we are not from the world. In fact, we don't belong to any of these universes that are under Zeno's command. We belong somewhere else. I believe that mortals here have no idea of the true size of what is called existence. You are currently in one of the 12 universes created by Zeno. All that you know is the great kingdom of Zeno, but this kingdom that we are in is just one among the 7 that exist. To tell you the truth, I know almost nothing about the other 7 realms, but I know where I came from. The realm of Zarat. The kingdom we came from used to be a beautiful place. But one day, our king, in an attempt to steal this entire kingdom by himself, ended up being defeated. When that happened, our kingdom ended up sinking into chaos and destruction. All those who were weak died, and in the end, only those who could fight were left. Since our king was defeated, those who were once part of Zarat's elite have a single goal: bring Zarat back and take possession of this kingdom we are in. Curious and apprehensive, Krillin asks, "If Zarat wakes up, what will happen to us?" Now the answer is Letitia. She says that on the first visit to this planet, Zarat just wanted to take power and rule the 2 kingdoms. But since there are now countless mortals scattered everywhere, it's possible that he wants to kill all the mortals and all gods, starting everything again. Krillin, surprised by all that, asks, "If your kingdom is descending into chaos and destruction, and you finally have a chance to have a peaceful place again, why are you telling me these things?" Gilmer justifies. "As I said in my kingdom, the weakest die and the strongest stand. Now is no different. The strongest kingdom must stand. But don't think that all my comrades who are attacking this planet right now think like that. They will do everything to have a peaceful place to live." Krillin says that his friend will not be defeated, which causes admiration in Gilmer. And Gilmer says, "Interesting your trust in your friends. But Krillin, be careful. Our powers don't even compare to the next opponents you will face. And to tell you the truth, with that level of power, you'll be dead in the blink of an eye. I believe your friends won't be of much help with the powers they have at the moment either. You have 6 months. 6 months until the mages start to really act, so you better get stronger." Krillin, even scared of all the information, thanks the 2 for their kindness for telling him that. Letitia calls Gilmer. They must leave before someone comes after them. Krillin, after saying goodbye to them, quickly heads towards the part of the city that is being destroyed. At that moment, the strange disciple who had fled from Krillin was fleeing over the city, being seen with suspicion by the entire population. when suddenly he says, "They look like insects from up here. I will show you the terror of Fangor, the disciple of the great mage of invocations." Fangor forms 2 purple spears in his hand and throws them, one into the air and one on top of the city building. Both spears transform into round portals, and from these portals emerge a giant falcon and a gorilla-like creature that was approximately 2 meters tall. Seeing all this from the ground, people were terrified and began to run desperately through the streets. While all this was happening, Yamcha was driving his car through the city streets when suddenly the traffic stopped. It didn't take long for Yamcha to notice something was wrong. As all the people were running out of their cars and screaming in the streets, suddenly a shadow appeared above his car. And when he looked up at the sky, he saw a giant falcon flying over the city. "What is it?" he asked, surprised. The falcon attacks the city's buildings and knocks them down. The pieces of the buildings fall from the sky, causing even more panic in the people. A huge chunk of concrete falls towards a little girl. Yamcha jumps at high speed, picks the girl up, and carries her out of the way of the big rock, which shatters on the ground. Placing the little girl on the ground, Yamcha says, "Get out of here. Go find your mother." The girl runs away as Yamcha looks up at the sky and sees the creature attacking the city. He thinks, undecided, "Damn it, it's been a while since I retired from martial arts. I went back to training to protect Earth along with the Galactic Patrol back then, but I still don't have the same power I used to have, and I still don't have the same fighting spirit. But I can't let this thing kill people. I'll fight until someone comes to help me." After making his decision, Yamcha focuses his energy and prepares a super Kamehameha. After a while of concentrating energy, the attack is finally ready. Yamcha says, "Now! Kamehameha!" The energy wave reaches the giant falcon. The attack hits right in the middle of the creature's chest and knocks it down on one of the city streets, destroying some cars and buildings, but luckily no one was hurt. Yamcha celebrates. "That's it! That's how it's done!" Yamcha hears a voice asking, "What the hell is this? What's going on?" said Fagor. Looking around, Yamcha sees that behind him in the sky, someone is watching him. Yamcha asks, "Who are you?" Fangor replies, "I'm the one asking you, attacking my invocation like that." The Earthling says, "Your invocation? You who are responsible for this damn thing?" The mage confirms, "Exactly, you garbage." Yamcha replies, "And why are you doing this? Can't you see that there are many innocent people here?" The mage with great arrogance replies, "I don't need to give explanations to you. You're nothing but a bunch of feces." Fangor turns his back on Yamcha and lands on top of a building, which angers the Earth Warrior. "Hey, damn, I'm talking to you," said Yamcha. Yamcha goes at high speed towards Fangor, but the gorilla suddenly jumps out of the building and falls towards Yamcha. The gorilla hit a full punch on Yamcha. He blocks the attack, but the animal's force launches him away, causing him to knock over a traffic light and cross 2 establishments, only stopping when he hits a car. Yamcha is badly injured by that attack. As soon as he reaches the ground, the gorilla wastes no time and jumped again at Yamcha, who jumped away with a backward leap, causing the gorilla to hit only the car. But the gorilla grabbed that car and threw it at Yamcha, who again dodged. The human, while preparing the attack, says, "Now it's my turn." Yamcha goes toward the gorilla and lands a strong blow on the animal that made him fly a few meters back and stop on his back on a wall. After that, the Earthling flew against the animal, hitting him with a strong flying kick in the stomach that made the gorilla cross the wall and end up in the back street. But the creature got up quickly, appearing unaffected by those blows. Yamcha thinks, "Only with these blows I won't be able to finish him." Suddenly, Yamcha sees the falcon coming to grab him with its claws, and he's very surprised. At the last second, he dodged the falcon, but then the gorilla caught up to him and hit him with a punch that sent him flying several meters high, crashing through 2 buildings and slamming into a wall of the 3rd building. After hitting the wall, Yamcha plummeted several meters before falling to the ground. And when he reached the ground, he was extremely injured. On the floor, Yamcha thinks, "Damn it, wasn't my Kamehameha enough to take that thing down?" Fangor, watching from the top of the building, laughs and says, "You're by far the weakest person I've ever faced." Sadly, Yamcha agrees. "He's right. There's no way I can win this fight," said Yamcha. Fangor says, "After I kill you, I will kill all these useless people." Hearing that, Yamcha yells, "Damn you, I won't let you do this." But Fangor only laughs and says, "What are you going to do, you worm?" Very tense, Yamcha thinks, "I don't have the strength to finish off these creatures, but if I manage to catch him, maybe those things will disappear. I have to try." Yamcha gets up with a lot of effort and sees that slowly the gorilla was approaching from the ground and the falcon was approaching from the sky. He thinks, "Yamcha, if they hit me again, I won't be able to resist." Yamcha raises his hand and begins to focus all of his ki. Seeing this, Fangor thinks, "So, he's still willing to make one more attack? Well, it makes no difference. My summons are very tough, and if he couldn't defeat them when he was at full strength, surely he won't get hurt the way he is." As he forms an energy sphere in his palm, Yamcha thinks, this is my only chance. Yamcha launches the attack towards Fangor, who thinks, got it, so I'm the target. But the gorilla makes a big leap towards Fangor, trying to get between him and the attack. Fangor laughs and says, it's useless. My summons will protect me. But Yamcha smiles, and before the attack hits the gorilla, Yamcha dodges it downwards, letting the gorilla pass right into his jump. This surprises the mage. Fangor says, what? Can he control? Yamcha again manipulates the attack towards Fangor. This time the falcon takes the lead, but Yamcha again controls the attack. This time upward. After that, he again changes the course of the attack downwards towards Fangor. But Fangor dodges it by flying out of the building. The attack hits the roof, going inside the building. Laughing, the wizard says, nice try, but not enough to catch me. But Yamcha smiles and shouts, not yet. And then the energy goes from inside the building, crashing through the wall and going at high speed towards Fangor, who yells, what? The attack hits the mage, and there's a large explosion in the air. After that, the gorilla and the falcon immediately disappear. Yamcha drops to his knees, and he sees Fangor falling from the sky and crashing to the ground. After that, people start to come out from where they were hiding and start to fill the streets. Everyone starts to applaud him. Yamcha is extremely embarrassed, but he was happy. He thinks, I can't believe I made it. I had forgotten how good it feels to save people. A few minutes later, Krillin arrives at the scene, and he asked, Yamcha, what happened? Are you okay? He answers, I'm fine, Krillin. This weird guy attacked the city, but I've already solved the problem. Krillin congratulates him and says, looks like you took care of everything. Congratulations. But Yamcha asks, what's going on here? Krillin says, I'll explain everything to you. After Krillin summarizes the situation for Yamcha, they head to the celestial platform. Piccolo chasing a trio of soldiers consisting of 2 men and a woman. They arrive in a region full of mountains, and after arriving in that region, the invaders stop fleeing. Piccolo says, Piccolo, finally, they stopped running. One of the men says, who's Jotaro, you were really dumb coming here. Now that your friends are far away, you won't have anyone to help you. But the Namekian replies, it's you who are at a disadvantage here, not me. You who need help. The woman says, whose name is Kalia, you are too arrogant, so you will die. Piccolo suggests, let's make a deal. You give me the information I want and I won't kill you. What do you think? After Piccolo says this, the 3 disciples get very angry. One of them says, Rudo, damn you. Are you going to continue with all this arrogance? All you get from us is your death. The other man, Jotaro, says, Kalia and Rudo, stay here. I'll finish him alone. The man named Rudo asked, are you sure about that, Jotaro? Don't forget he's a Namekian. We have to be careful. But the man named Jotaro replies, I'm sure. I don't care if he's part of a primordial race. He doesn't look like much to me. Kalia agrees and says, that's fine by me. The story about the Namekians is nothing more than an urban legend. Piccolo is curious about their words. He thinks, what are they talking about? Jotaro focuses his energy for a few seconds, and suddenly he was covered from head to toe in what looked like key armor. Observing this, Piccolo thinks, this is a curious technique. I've never seen it before. But still, the power he emanates is low compared to mine. But just in case, I will provoke him to analyze the true extent of his powers. Jotaro says, you better say your last prayers, Namekian, because soon you will die. But Piccolo teases him. I feel a very weak power coming from you. It's almost cowardly to face you. I don't even need to take off my heavy clothes for that. Angry Jotaro yells, you worm. Jotaro flies at high speeds towards Piccolo and punches him in the abdomen with all his strength. But the attack didn't even make his opponent move, which surprises all the mages. Kalia says, it can't be. He received a head-on attack but didn't take any damage. Rudo, scared, says, now I'm confused. Is the legend really true? But Kalia, in denial, says, don't talk nonsense. That still doesn't prove anything. Piccolo, without much effort, counterattacks Jotaro, flinging him away, causing him to destroy a rock. Jotaro gets up and quickly charges at Piccolo at high speed. When he got close to Piccolo, he tried another blow, but this time Piccolo felt much greater energy and had to defend himself. Surprised by Jotaro's increase in strength, Piccolo thinks, what happened? His strength doubled first blow for now. Jotaro tries a great string of punches against Piccolo, but the Namekian blocked all the attacks deftly. He taunts the enemy. Piccolo says, unfortunately, it looks like that's all you got. Now it's my turn. Piccolo concentrates his strength in his hand, and with just one punch, launches Jotaro against another mountain, causing even greater destruction than the last blow. Kalia, very angry, yells, Jotaro, react! This is getting ugly. Jotaro comes out of the middle of the rocks, going again at high speeds against Piccolo, surprising the Namekian with a huge speed boost. Jotaro hit Piccolo with a strong punch that ended up cracking the entire ground around them. Piccolo blocked the attack, but this time he was thrown back by the impact of the blow. He thinks, his strength is increasing with more and more every blow I take. Every time I hit him, I feel a strange energy in his armor. This time it's Jotaro who makes a provocation. What's up, Namekian? Are you getting scared? Piccolo makes an observation. Your armor is the key to your power, right? Somehow, it makes you stronger with each of my attacks. Jotaro replies, I thought it would take you a little longer to understand, but yes, it's true. Every time I get hit with a blow, this magic armor absorbs the energy my opponent uses in the attack and turns it into power for me. That is, with each attack I receive, I become stronger, more resistant, and faster. So Piccolo decides and says, I see, so I'll finish you off before you become a problem for me. But the mage replies, you think it's that easy, arrogant bastard? Who do you think I am? I am Jotaro, disciple of the great warrior mage. Both flew at high speed against each other, but just as their blows were about to collide, Piccolo dodged Jotaro's attack, letting the mage pass right through him. Then he stretched out his left arm, grabbing Jotaro's ankle and knocking him to the ground. Soon after, the Namekian completes its attack with a super Masenko. But before Masenko finishes the enemy, Jotaro's companions, Rudo and Kalia, intervened. Rudo clapped his hands and then points to the air, and after he does, a blue circle appears. When Piccolo's technique hits the circle, it disappears completely. After that, another circle identical to this one appears in front of Piccolo. From within this circle comes his energy coming in his own direction. But Piccolo quickly dodges his own attack, which destroyed a gigantic area close by. Seeing the destructive power of Piccolo's attack that would hit him, Jotaro is very scared. You bastard, if that hit me, I die, said Jotaro. Meanwhile, Piccolo ignores him as he reflects on what Rudo had done. Piccolo says, that guy put that thing in the air and just transported my attack back to me. I have to be careful with this. Kalia creates a bow in her hand and fires an arrow at Piccolo. The arrow was really fast, but Piccolo dodged it easily. Kalia's arrow traveled a great distance until it hit a mountain. The arrow's power was so great that it went through the mountain as if there were nothing, and that impressed Piccolo. He said, her arrow has great piercing power, almost as great as my Makan Kosapo. I have to be careful with this. Kalia says to Jotaro, Jotaro, your party is over. Now let's all fight together. Ruth adds, it's no use getting stronger after each attack if you're going to not live long enough to become stronger. Jotaro has no option but to agree with his teammates. Rudo says to Piccolo, listen well, Namekian. I am Rudo, disciple of the great mage of seals. And Kalia says, I am Kalia, disciple of the great warrior mage. Piccolo listens intently, starts to think about his strategy. Piccolo says, 2 disciples of a female warrior and a disciple of a seal user. That means the big guy and the woman are raw power, and the one who sends my attacks back is my support. The brute will come for melee combat. The archer will cover him from afar, and the other will be supporting them with those weird circles. Taking out the big one now will be difficult because the other 2 will be helping, and I can't keep attacking him all the time, or he'll get more powerful. Kalia fired several arrows towards Piccolo, who dodged all the shots as he flew at high speed towards the archer. Piccolo said, you be first. At great speed, Piccolo disappeared from everyone's view and reappeared behind Kalia, landing a great blow that finishes her, throwing her to the ground. After that, he thinks, Piccolo, it was just as I thought. Her power comes down to the destructive power of the arrows. Without it, she's just a little girl. Now just 2 left. Seeing Kalia defeated, Jotaro gets very angry. He says, that damn, but Rudo calms him down. Keep calm, Jotaro, Rudo said. It doesn't mean anything. We still have number advantage. As Piccolo flew towards his enemies, he made several clones. Rudo is surprised by that technique and asks which one is real, but Jotaro gives a simpler solution, telling them to destroy them all. Jotaro attacks the clones, which disappear as they are hit. Meanwhile, one of the Piccolos flies towards Rudo, who asks his companion for help. Rudo says, Jotaro, this is the real one. He's coming my way. Rudo uses his technique and causes Jotaro to appear in front of Piccolo. The warrior mage says, got you. But at that moment, another Piccolo appears and hits Jotaro with a strong kick, knocking him to the ground and leaving the way clear for the original Piccolo to continue towards Rudo. Rudo tries to run away, but Piccolo reaches out his arm, grabs the mage by the wrist, and pulls the enemy toward him. Piccolo says, got you. Piccolo forms a key ball in his hand and points it at Rudo's face. The mage tries to beg for his life, but it's useless. The Namekian warrior fires a wave of ki that finishes off the invader. At that moment, Jotaro despairs. Kalia and Rudo were killed. I thought the whole story was just a fairy tale, but fighting this guy, I believe it might be true. The Namekians may indeed be descendants of the primordial king Zarama. Approaching the last enemy, Piccolo says, it's time to end this. Piccolo points his hand towards Jotaro and concentrates a large amount of energy. Before being finished, Jotaro says, now I understand. the primordial race really does exist. Piccolo says goodbye. Piccolo fires a large blast of yellow energy that hits Chitoro and swept away all the mountains that were nearby. After that, the Namekian thinks, it's finally over. But one thing doesn't get out of my head. What did they mean by primordial race? After defeating his enemies, Piccolo set off towards the celestial platform. While all this was happening there on planet Earth, somewhere hidden in the universe, the celestial mages were commenting on what just happened on the planet. Adisu says, so this is Piccolo, Zarama's most powerful descendant. It seems he still doesn't know the real power he has, and that's perfect. We have to kill him before he becomes a problem. At this point, there are only 6 invaders left. Gohan chases them through the skies until the group finally decides to stop running and they all land in the middle of a desert. Gohan also lands in the desert and faces the enemies. There were 4 men and 2 women. One of the enemies asks what he was thinking and if he didn't realize he was following 6 people. But Gohan replies that he can count very well. But even if there were 1,000, it wouldn't make any difference to him. One of the enemies says he must be crazy and asks the companion what his power level is. The other man measuring Gohan's power says that his power doesn't even show up on the tracker. Upon hearing this, the man who asked confirms that he's just another idiot and then asks his name, which he answers. Another man, after hearing Gohan's name, says the name of all of them. His name is Greylob and the others are Jakram, Kyolo, Hello, Isa, and Arakos. They are disciples of the great mage of the elements, the most powerful among all mages. After saying that, this man named Greylob says that he will be Gohan's opponent. But the Protector of Earth refuses. He says that for that fight to have any fun, they need to all go together. This angers Greylob, who says they are the most powerful soldiers in the Elite 16, and he's just an arrogant idiot. Meanwhile, at Kami-sama's temple, Piccolo uses his telepathy to communicate with Gohan. Piccolo says, Gohan, are you listening to me? Gohan replies, Master Piccolo, what happened? Piccolo informs, listen, Gohan, you're facing the last 6 invaders. All the other 10 have been defeated. I just found out that these guys came to this planet with the intention of collecting the energy of the strongest warriors and go to their hideout to free Zarat from his long slumber. In order for us to find out where these guys are hiding, I want you to use all your power and let them steal your energy. Gohan, reluctant about the plan, argues. Gohan says, but Mr. Piccolo, isn't that dangerous? If this god wakes up, it could be the end of everything. But Piccolo explains, from what we know about Zarat, he might be even stronger than the gods of destruction. So your energy, even being great, will not be nearly enough to wake this monster up. Don't worry. Hearing his master's words, Gohan agrees. The man named Jakram asks what Gohan is doing standing still. Obviously, he doesn't know that the Saiyan is mentally talking right now. After finishing the conversation with Piccolo, Gohan says to the enemies, I just found out that all your friends were defeated. Very surprised, Greylob says, now that you mention it, I really can't feel the energy of any of them here on this planet anymore. Damn. The Saiyan also says, I also heard that you came to this planet with a mission to collect the energy of the strongest, so I believe that if you come back with nothing, you'll end up getting hurt. Jakram asks what Gohan wants out of that conversation. Then the Earthling says, let's make a deal. I'll give you the energy you came for, and you'll never set foot on this planet again. What do you think? But the man named Arakos says, you idiot, your power is so low it doesn't even show up on my tracker. How do you intend to give us anything? But Greylob interrupts his companion. Arakos calmed down. Son Gohan, if you can give us that energy, I promise we will never set foot on this planet again. But how do you intend to do this? Smiling, Gohan says, I don't think you should put your trust in those trackers too much. The truth is, I am the strongest warrior present on this planet. This revelation shocks Arakos. What? That's impossible. Gohan, as he prepares, says, just watch. Gohan accumulates his energy and transforms into a Super Saiyan. This is my first transformation, the Super Saiyan. With it, my powers increase 50 times compared to my normal state. Arakos, impressed and frightened, says, amazing! With that power, he could defeat us in the blink of an eye. But Gohan continues, now I'm going to show you my second transformation. To be honest, this is the one I like the most. The entire planet Earth begins to shake with Gohan's great power increase. Greylob laughs and says, so this bandit was hiding all the power. Arakos, what is this brat's power level? Completely shocked, Arakos says, this is amazing. This brat's power level is as great as the power of the 9 dominations. Jakram, impressed, says, that's impossible. There shouldn't be any mortals that powerful in this world. After finishing the transformation, Gohan tells the invaders, this is my second transformation, the Super Saiyan level 2. It's twice as powerful as the first transformation. Jakram, finally accepting the situation, smiles and says, impressive. In your normal form, you didn't show any power, but now, showing all your power, you managed to make me very impressed. But then Gohan explains, no, this is not my most powerful form yet. Greylob, not believing, says, impossible. No mortal should have that level of power. How could you go beyond that? The Earthling Saiyan says, just like that. And Gohan closes his eyes and reverts to his normal form. And then he uses his ultimate form. As enemies are shocked by that power, Arako, surprisingly excited, says, yeah, if we take all that energy to Master Adisu, he'll definitely give us a promotion. Gohan says, hurry up before I change my mind. Arako's pointed a strange artifact at Gohan and started draining him of all his energy. After a few seconds, Gohan loses his transformation and falls to his knees on the ground, panting heavily. Greylob says, listen, I don't know what you intend to do from now on, but if you go after our masters, I must warn you that you'd better be very careful. The great celestial mages have very powerful spells. Gohan asked why he was saying that, and Greylob replies that it was a way of saying thanks for sparing their lives and giving them all that energy. After dealing with 6 remaining invaders on Earth, Gohan went to the celestial platform to meet with his friends again and talk about the next step to deal with the threat of the 5 great celestial mages. Meanwhile, in a faraway place, the mage Adisu thought, so, in this realm there are also mortals with that level of power? Interesting. I'm starting to believe that Zarat will wake up earlier than I thought. When that happens, the realm will be ours. Closing his eyes, concentrating on something, Adisu thought, who is the very powerful warrior in this universe? The most powerful. I think I found it. Frieza is very angry. He says, Cooler, that idiot. He just waited for me to turn around for 2 seconds and disappeared like a worm. Frieza suddenly feels a presence, and he senses something very bad. Adisu realizes that Frieza has noticed his presence, and decides to approach. Frieza, very scared, thinks, that feeling. It's like feeling own death countless times. Adisu finally reveals himself, surprised that Frieza senses his presence. Frieza confronts the enemy, arrogantly asking if he knows who he is. Adisu replies, you are a mutated demon from the planet Winter. Your name is Frieza, and you're Cooler's younger brother and Cold's son. You call yourself the Emperor of the Universe, and you're currently the most powerful mortal in Universe 7. You also hold a great grudge against the Saiyans, particularly the current god of destruction of Universe 6, Goku. Am I right? Frieza is very scared by all those very precise informations. Frieza says, who are you? What do you want with me? Adisu replies, I am Adisu. I'm as old as creation of everything. Currently, I lead a group called Celestial Mages. Soon all of you will die, but for now, I just need your energy, so you better behave yourself, Frieza boy. After stealing Frieza's energy, Adisu says, excellent. Now that I've dealt with the most powerful mortal in this universe, it's time to go back. It will be very interesting. Adisu, the leader of the Celestial Mages, defeats Frieza and collects all of his energy. But what the enemy didn't know is that Frieza is not the most powerful mortal in Universe 7, Planet of Destruction. While Beerus, Whis, and the Oracle Fish are lying on a beach chair, Vegeta is training at maximum intensity in another dimension. Beerus, impatient and worried, says to Whis, Beerus, hey, Whis, it's been a week since Vegeta walked into that place. How much longer do you intend to leave him in there? The angel replies, Whis, what a surprise, Lord Beerus. It's strange to see you like this. You're not worried about Mr. Vegeta, are you? Hearing that question, the god of destruction is embarrassed. Beerus replies, what? Don't talk nonsense. I'm a god of destruction. I don't care about that idiot. But if he dies there, Bulma might not give us those delicious meals anymore. Whis starts doing some sort of calculation on how Vegeta might be. Whis says, let's see, if we compare Mr. Vegeta's current power with what you had when you first entered there, I believe he must already be at his limit. But this comparison did not please Beerus, who said, don't compare me to that idiot. If I remember correctly, last time I was in there was for 3 weeks. But the angel, while laughing, refutes the destroyer, and he says, but your first time, you lasted a lot shorter than Mr. Vegeta, remember? This further increases Beerus' irritation, who yells, nobody asked you anything, okay? At that moment, listening the conversation between Beerus and Whis, the Oracle Fish is curious and asks what kind of training Vegeta is doing there, and who answers is Whis, who says, it's easy for us to say that a week has passed, but for Mr. Vegeta, the time inside is extremely confusing. He couldn't tell if he's been there for a second, a week, or 10 years. Let's say that inside that place, the pressure is compared to that of a large black hole, and with each movement that his body makes, the pressure increases and the temperature changes. reaching the highest heat or the most intense cold. Just staying inside is a big challenge. This is a place that even the gods avoid entering. We can say that Mr. Vegeta's battle at this moment is against the dimension itself. That place gets more intense by the second. And if Mr. Vegeta can't keep up with this change, his body will be totally destroyed. This explanation makes the Oracle Fish completely impressed. Vegeta is really amazing. While this was happening on the planet of destruction of Universe 7, on the planet of destruction of Universe 6, a training was taking place too. But it was not an individual training, but a training between two very powerful warriors. On one side was Kale, the Metamoru fusion of kale and cauliflower, the two most powerful women in the universe, and on the other side was the greatest deity of the universe, the god of destruction Goku. A very intense battle was going on and Kale was giving Goku a lot to work with. Both were in base form. Kale advances, landing a punch on Goku that threw him very far, and then she follows him and complements her attack by delivering several sequences of several punches against the Saiyan god. At this point, the only thing Goku can do is defend himself and dodge some of the various attacks. But while attacking Goku, Kale misses out a single punch, but that single missed hit gave Goku the opportunity to land a punch that launched her towards a wall of rocks. Goku followed the warrior to try to land another blow, but Kale quickly recovered from the punch and managed to stop before hitting the rocks. At the last second, she dodged Goku's kick that ended up hitting the rock behind her. Kale admits that Goku is fast, but claims she is much faster. They go back to exchanging a huge string of blows, and those blows were so strong that they were creating shockwaves that were destroying everything around them, making entire trees and mountains disappear. After a few hits, they put away and fire several energy balls at each other. But Kale's attacks were a little stronger and go through Goku's attacks heading towards him. Goku responds to the attack with a powerful Kamehameha. But Kale says that this attack won't work on her again, probably talking about when Goku defeated Kefla there in Tournament of Power. And so she raises her arms, creating a strong disc of red and green energy and fires at Goku's attack. The two attacks collide and a fierce energy struggle ensues. Kale, with a lot of determination, says that Goku is not going to win, and so she should transform into Super Saiyan 3, and this drastically increases the strength of the attack, which far surpasses Goku's attack. He was hit by that power and thrown far away, falling under a waterfall. Kale is worried about Goku, thinking that she may have overdone the attack. She quickly goes to check on him and is very surprised to see that Goku has not suffered any scratches. She wonders how it's possible. He received her most powerful attack and didn't suffer any scratches, but Goku wasn't that unscathed and says that the attack really hurt, and that if he hadn't changed his form at the exact moment he received the attack, he would have really gone bad. Kale is confused by that information. Did he transform? What transformation? The one with the blue hair? But Goku explains that actually now that he's a god of destruction, his hair turns purple instead of blue. Kale is very excited to hear that and asks Goku to show her this transformation. Goku closes his eyes and transforms into Super Saiyan Purple. Kale gets even more excited and asks Goku to fight with all his power. Goku asks if she's sure what she's asking for, and she says yes. So Kale dashes forward at full speed to attack Goku, but his speed in this transformation is so great that he easily dodges the blow and appears behind her. But something is wrong with Goku. He has red eyes and is visibly possessed by the power of destruction. With a completely evil aura, he prepares a very powerful punch. The girl's fusion ends and they return to normal. But Goku was blinded by the power of destruction and he wouldn't stop. But Vados immediately intervened, teleporting the girls closer to her, and then Goku ended up hitting the air, and the pressure of his punch alone destroyed an entire forest ahead. After that blow, Goku's energy drains out and he falls in a faint. Cauliflower, strangely excited by what happened, says that was really cool and that she can't wait to fight him again. But Vados in her thoughts reflects that they still haven't realized the danger they're in. Fusion or no fusion, if that hit landed, they would both die. She needs to watch out for these sudden outbursts from Goku. Meanwhile, back on the planet of destruction in Universe 7, Whis says that Vegeta finally wants to get out of the dimension he was training in. Beerus orders him to hurry and get Vegeta out of there. Obeying the destroyer, Whis makes a move and a portal in the sky opens, but that portal explodes. The explosion was so intense that Whis had to create a powerful force field around it. Beerus, very angry and at the same time very surprised, says, "Beerus, that idiot managed to destroy the entire dimension." Suddenly, amid the smoke of the huge explosion, Vegeta appears extremely injured, and then, in an extremely weak voice, he says, "I want to be a god too." After winning the battle against the elite mages warriors sent by the celestial mages, the Earth warriors can be relieved to have saved the planet. But Piccolo, the leader of the Celestial Guardians, arrives on Earth along with Supreme Kai Shin and asks Piccolo, Gohan, and Majin Buu to go with him to the Celestial World. Piccolo explains that now they have Majin Buu and Janemba on their territory. They have declared war on the neighboring realm. They must prepare for what is to come. Arriving to this world, Piccolo explained the true origin of the Saiyans and the Namekians, that they were actually part of primordial races with a very special lineage. And so it was explained what those Elite 16 members were saying about Piccolo when they fought. After that, Piccolo explained to everyone what would be done from the moment on. Shin takes Majin Buu to a divine fortress while Gohan and Piccolo go on a quest to increase their powers. Piccolo goes with Piccolo to start a mysterious journey while Gohan is introduced to a Saiyan god who is part of the Celestial Guardians, and he introduces himself as Vegeta the Fourth. But he likes to be called by his nickname Yamoshi, and Yamoshi gave Gohan a very peculiar training where he needed to capture a sacred bird which has divine ki. Meanwhile, in Universe 6, Goku, when facing the fusion of the girls Kale and Caulifla, loses control, and the lack of control of this power ends up leaving him completely unconscious. At this moment, a big training battle is taking place involving Goten, Trunks, and the 7 Cell Juniors. The Saiyan boys were transformed into Super Saiyans, but apparently this transformation alone was not enough to defeat Cell's children. Noting the bad situation they were in, Trunks says, "Listen, Goten, at this rate we'll never make it. No matter how many times we try, they're not normal." Goten says he also noticed what Trunks is talking about. The older boy goes on to say, Trunks says, "Apparently these guys have all the abilities of my dad, your dad, Mr. Piccolo, and everyone else. It won't be possible to defeat them without fusion." Goten agrees with his friend, and so they prepare to make the fusion. But they are interrupted by Android 17, who warns them. Android 17 says, "Hey guys, listen up. I have a message from Supreme Kai for you." Trunks, imagining the theme of this matter, asks, "What does this have anything to do with those strange energies we feel all over the planet?" The android confirms and explains, "That's right, little Trunks. As you may already know, a few hours ago, an enemy group invaded this planet. Fortunately, our enemies this time weren't that strong and have already been defeated. But another attack could happen at any moment, and this time we don't have many allies to help us. Earth is without your parents, without Gohan and without Piccolo, and not even Majin Buu is here. When I talked to Supreme Kai, I really didn't understand what he wanted to tell me. But one thing I understand, everyone else is training, because in approximately 6 months, the universes will be attacked. Supreme Kai spoke to me and asked me to prepare you for what is to come, as all help will be needed." Trunks and Goten are very excited to hear that. Finally, they will be able to participate in a real battle. But 17 ends their joy by saying, "To be honest, I'm not really in the mood to train you guys. You can't even fight if you don't use that fusion. If you want to participate in the next battle, you must at least be able to defeat these 7. Goten is very disappointed. Doing this is impossible. Trunks argues, "Fighting alone, I'm as strong as 2 of them, and Goten isn't far from that, so fighting together our strength can only draw with 4 of them. 17, to provoke them, says, "Too bad. Gohan, when he was younger than you, managed to defeat the 7 with extreme ease." Goten is very surprised by this. Goten says, "Is this serious? My brother managed to beat them all by himself?" 17 explains that he wasn't actually there to see it, but that's what he knew. After that, 17 says, "If you want to participate in the next battle, you at least need to defeat the 7 while fighting alone. Let's get started. Cells, attack!" Meanwhile, on Universe 6's Planet of Destruction. At this moment, Goku is waking up. He's been sleeping since the last battle against Kale and Caulifla's fusion, Kale. Seeing that Goku has woken up, Vados greets him. Goku realizes what happened and asks her how long this will continue to happen. This cannot be repeated. He asks to face the girls again, but Vados tells the destroyer to calm down. She took the girls back to Sadala, and the reason for that is that Goku has work to do. She says this job will help him understand a little better what it's like to be a god of destruction. They leave the castle and go on a high speed into space. After some time, they arrive at a planet. Goku asks where that place is and why they went there. Vados says this is the planet Yardrat. Goku is very surprised and asks why they're on the planet. Vados explains that unlike the Yard Rats of Universe 7, which are very peaceful, the Yard Rats of Universe 6 are an entirely hostile race. They're dangerous, and they use their abilities to reap havoc across planets. Goku is in shock. They are very different from the Yard Rats he met in Universe 7. Vados goes on to say that a god of destruction's job is to prevent this kind of thing from happening. Yard Rats are preventing the evolution of other races, destroying entire civilizations just for fun. This is upsetting the balance of the entire universe, and it's Goku's job as the destroyer to put an end to it. She says he needs to destroy this planet. If he doesn't, other worlds will be destroyed, and millions of trillions of innocent lives will be taken. If that happens, it will all be the god of destruction's fault. Vados ends her speech by asking what Goku will decide. Will he destroy this planet, or will he let them destroy all the other planets in the universe? Goku gets extremely serious about this decision. As he thought about what he should do, all the memories he had of the planet Yard Rat flashed through his mind. The episode ends with Goku about to make his decision.